This video serves as an environmentally focused activity that teachers can use in the classroom as part of the Recycle Bowl competition. We'll go over the steps to show you how to use this activity in your classroom. The activities presented in this video correspond with some components of the Plastics by Numbers activity, which can be located on the Recycle Bowl website. If after you are done watching this video, you would like additional resources on plastics recycling activities for your students, the Plastics by the Numbers PDF document offers great activities. This video activity will focus specifically on the methods that are used by certain processing facilities to separate and break down different types of recycled plastics. After this activity, students will be able to describe how certain recycling processing facilities sort plastics by their densities and explain why certain plastics float and why others sink. To complete this activity, you will need a collection of plastic items displaying the recycling symbol, as well as samples of washed and unwashed flake. Flake is broken down material from recycled plastic bottles. Show students the samples of unwashed flake and tell them that this is a mix of all types of plastics found in a plastic drink bottle. Some of these pieces will float and some will sink. From this activity, your students will learn the vocabulary words density, washed flake, unwashed flake, prediction, recycling processing facility, and submerge. Depending on your student's age group, you could describe density as the mass per unit volume, or simply the amount of stuff an object has and how tightly packed its components are. Ask students whether they think a penny would float or sink in water. Then ask them if they think an apple would float or sink. Why is it that the larger of these two items float while the smaller sinks? Tell your students that the reason why the penny sinks is because it has a higher density than water, and the apple floats because it has a lower density than water. Show the students the different types of plastic materials they will be working with during the activity. Explain to them that some of the plastics will float and the others will sink, depending on their densities, and that this is how some facilities separate different types of plastics that are in the process of being recycled. There is an easy way to tell the difference between plastics that are made up of slightly different components and that have different densities. Plastic bottles and containers have labeled numbers inside of the recycling symbol to signal their type. Hand out a worksheet that students can use to record whether each type of plastic that you provide for this activity floats or sinks. If age and skill appropriate for your classroom, consider splitting your students up into groups and have each group go to a station that is set up with assorted plastics and a tub of water to complete the activity. If your students can't complete this activity on their own, lead this demonstration at the front of the classroom and recruit student volunteers. Have the student groups or student volunteers predict which plastics will float and which will sink, and have them record their predictions on the provided worksheet. Then, submerge each bottle or container into the tub of water and have the students record the results. Show students the samples of dirty flake and tell them that this is a mix of all types of plastics found on a plastic drink bottle. Some of these pieces will float and some will sink. Ask students to name the different parts of a plastic bottle: the bottle, label, and cap. Ask students what they think will happen if you pour water into a container with the unwashed flake. After soliciting predictions, either have students pour the water or pour it in yourself to demonstrate. Ask students which parts of the bottle they think are floating and which are sinking. Submerge the bottle, label, and cap in the water to test the students' responses. Why did the bottle sink while the cap and label floated? Show students the samples of clean flake and tell them that this is the end product after the facilities collect the pieces of material that all have the same density. Ask students why they think it is important to be able to separate out different types of plastics. Explain to them that it's only after plastics are separated that they can be made into new materials. Ask students to draw a picture or write a paragraph of the plastic recycling process. They should include the following steps. 1. Plastics are broken down into flake. 2. Flake is submerged in water. 3. Flake is separated by density. 4. Sorted flake is collected, cleaned, and made into pellets. And 5. Washed flake is used to make new products. To wrap up this activity, remind your students that what they just learned about was the way that some recycling processing facilities separate out different types of plastics so that they can be later made into new materials. While the recycling facilities use machinery to do this, they just simulated this process with a hands-on activity in the classroom. Thank you for watching this video and for using this activity in your classroom.